The alien fleet cruised silently, a vast armada spanning across the void. Their target was Earth, a planet they had long dismissed as insignificant, a mere speck of dust in the cosmic expanse. The command center aboard the lead ship buzzed with activity, but the mood was one of quiet confidence. They had been waiting for this moment. The destruction of Earth was going to be as simple as flicking a switch. The humans, they thought, were primitive. They had no fleet, no technology worth mentioning. Their planet, isolated in the outer rim, would fall quickly. "Prepare to engage," the voice of the commander echoed through the fleet. "This is it. Once we strike, Earth won't have a chance." Laughter rippled through the ranks of the alien officers. The sheer arrogance of the statement was palpable. They had observed Earth for years, cataloging their weaknesses, their lack of preparation, their lack of unity. Earth had nothing to offer but its strategic location. And now, they were about to destroy it. Down below, the skies above Earth's cities were unnervingly quiet. For all the boastful claims from alien forces, the people of Earth had no idea. What was coming? No one had predicted that today would be the day. The governments had dismissed the warning signs. Humanity was too distracted, too divided, too busy with their own affairs to even think of a threat beyond their world. But as the alien fleet neared, something stirred. It was faint, unnoticed. At first, a slight hum in the atmosphere. And then, the sky turned dark. In an instant, Earth's last hope erupted into life. Without warning, the clouds parted to reveal a monstrous silhouette stretching far across the horizon. It wasn't a single ship or even a small fleet. It was the fleet. Humanity's responsive fleet, hidden in plain sight, built in secret, assembled over decades. Earth's primitive logic had devised something that the aliens could never have imagined. The alien command center buzzed with panic. 1,000 sensors screamed at once. "Impossible," the lead officer muttered, his voice barely audible. "There's no fleet." "How?" The alien commander watched as the first wave of humanity's warships entered the atmosphere. The ships were sleek, silver, and powerful, the design shockingly efficient in its simplicity. Nothing like the advanced alien technology they had expected. But the firepower? It was unlike anything they had ever seen. "Activate defenses." The alien commander barked, but his orders came too late. The first human missile salvo struck, followed by a series of laser beams that sliced through the alien fleet with terrifying precision. The enemy had been caught off guard, and within minutes, chaos erupted. The humans weren't weak. They weren't clueless. They were a force, and they had been ready. Far more ready than the aliens ever anticipated. Back on Earth, Commander Alara watched the action unfold from her command post. The display screens in front of her showed the devastation unfolding across the skies. Her hands gripped the edge of the console as she took a deep breath, steeling herself for the battles yet to come. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't, Alara whispered to herself. The last few months had been spent in absolute secrecy, constructing a fleet capable of defending humanity against an enemy who had no respect for them. But today, all their preparation would finally pay off. "Commander," her lieutenant called, snapping her from her thoughts. "We've detected a massive alien ship on our radar. They're trying to regroup. We need to stop them now before they form any kind of defense." Alara looked at the radar, a dark, looming shape closing in. "Prepare our fighters. Deploy everything. We've got. This is the moment we've been waiting for. No mercy." Above, the battle raged on, alien ships falling one after another. The humans had struck with a ruthless efficiency, their ships coordinating flawlessly as they unleashed wave after wave of firepower. The alien commanders were left scrambling, trying to form a counterattack. But there was no strategy that could undo the reality they were now facing. "We're losing." One of the alien officers screamed. "They're tearing us apart. Fall back. All units retreat." The alien commander's orders came too late. The remaining ships turned, trying desperately to flee, but the humans were relentless. Earth's fleet was not going to allow them to escape. The alien fleet that had once filled the skies now scattered in retreat, broken and defeated. The humans had done what was once unthinkable. The skies went dark, and the aliens had underestimated the threat they had overlooked. The human victory wasn't just about technology or firepower. It was about their willingness to fight for survival. It was about humanity's resilience, their ability to take what seemed like an impossible situation and turn it into their greatest strength. On Earth, Commander Alara stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the remnants of the alien armada retreat into the darkness of space. She didn't feel victorious. She didn't feel triumphant. But as the last of the alien ships fled, she understood one thing: Earth wasn't the defenseless planet they thought it was. The skies had gone dark, and the aliens were left to realize the gravity of their mistake. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. The alien fleet was in disarray, retreating at full speed into the blackness of space. A cascade of sparks shot out from their hulls as their once powerful ships were torn apart by humanity's relentless barrage. Cyro stood at the command center, watching as the holographic screens flashed red with critical alerts. The alien officers who had once stood by him in arrogance now shifted uncomfortably in their seats, the weight of defeat bearing down on them. This is not possible," Zarek muttered, staring in disbelief at the display. "How could they have done this? How could Earth have prepared so much? They had no fleet. We saw it with our own eyes. They had nothing." Cyros clenched, his fists, his mind racing as the full extent of their failure sank in. The humans had done the unthinkable. Not only had they hidden a fleet from the alien surveillance, but they had also constructed it in complete secrecy, waiting for the moment to strike back. "They were playing us," Cyros said coldly, his voice edged with both disbelief and grudging respect. "They let us think they were weak, that they were primitive. And when we finally came, we were blind to the real threat they posed." Zarek paced back and forth, his movements agitated, the sharp click of his claws on the metal floor adding to the tense atmosphere. "We should have known," he said, his voice cracking with frustration. "There were signs. We saw the increased activity, the construction on their moon base, the unusual energy readings from their planet, but we ignored it. We dismissed them as nothing." The reality of their situation began to settle in. The fleet that had been so confident in its superiority was now being shattered, piece by piece. The humans weren't just surviving. They were attacking with a brutal efficiency that was completely foreign to the aliens. Cyros looked out at the vastness of space through the ship's observation window, his mind still trying to piece together how this could have happened. The humans had been underestimated, but now the tables had turned. They had launched a counteroffensive with such precision and strength that it was almost impossible to comprehend. "Commander," a voice called from behind him. It was the lead strategist, Ethelian. His face was pale, his eyes wide with shock. "We've just intercepted a human transmission. They're requesting a ceasefire." Cyros turned slowly, a mixture of confusion and suspicion written on his face. "A ceasefire? They want us to stop attacking them after they've nearly annihilated our fleet?" His voice was laced with bitterness. "What do they think this is? A game?" "I don't know," Ethelian replied, his voice trembling. "But they say they're willing to negotiate. They claim that Earth no longer wants to destroy us, but to secure peace." "Peace?" Cyros scoffed. "We came here to destroy them, to wipe them out. And now they want peace?" But deep down, Cyros knew this was no longer about revenge. This was about survival. And the humans had proven that they had the power to decide the fate of the galaxy. The alien fleet was battered, its ships limping through space with critical systems offline. There was no way to mount a serious counterattack now. The humans had won. The question was, what would they demand for sparing the remnants of the alien fleet? Back on Earth, Commander Alara stood before the communication console on her flagship, watching the flashing lights as the alien ships retreated into the vastness of space. The battle had been brutal, but humanity had emerged victorious. Their fleet, hidden away for years, had decimated the alien armada with a speed and force no one had expected. Alara didn't feel triumphant. She didn't feel victorious. Instead, she felt the weight of what had just transpired. The decision to hold Earth's fleet in secrecy, the countless months spent in preparation, had been their last best hope. And now, the aliens were in retreat. "We did it," Lieutenant Harper said, his voice filled with awe. "We actually did it. We held our ground. We defended Earth." Alara's gaze never wavered from the screen. "We didn't just defend it. We won. But this isn't over. The aliens will regroup. They'll come back with everything they have left. But what do we do now?" Harper asked. "They're leaving." "Shouldn't we end this here and now?" Alara hesitated. "It's not over. Not yet. We can't just chase them off and hope they never return. We have to make sure they understand what happens when you underestimate Earth. They need to know that humanity will never be conquered." She stood tall, her fingers grazing the edge of the console. "We don't stop. Not now. Not ever. We show them that the galaxy isn't theirs for the taking. We show them that Earth is not weak." Back in the alien command center, Cyros and his officers faced a new reality. The humans were offering a ceasefire, and the more they processed the situation, the clearer it became that the humans were in a position of power. There was no escaping it. The council had failed. "We've lost," Zarak said, his voice barely audible. "We thought we were invincible. We thought we could take Earth without consequence, but they were waiting for us. They were always ready." Cyros looked at the screen once more, watching as the remaining alien ships limped away, battered and broken. "It's not just about losing a battle. We've lost our place in the galaxy. We've been humbled. They're not just survivors. They're warriors." There was a long pause, the tension in the room thick with the weight of their defeat. "And we have no choice but to negotiate," Cyros said finally, his voice quieter now, but filled with resolve. "We send the message. We offer them our surrender. Maybe they'll show us mercy. But if they don't, we'll be ready." Alara's thoughts mirrored Cyros's as she stared out into the dark expanse. The sky above her had gone dark, but it wasn't just the alien ships leaving. It was humanity's statement to the galaxy. Earth was no longer a target. Earth was a force. And the Alien Council would learn that, if they dared challenge humanity again, they would face an enemy far stronger than they could ever have imagined. The alien fleet, once poised for total annihilation, now limped through space in retreat. Their once proud ships were now damaged, crippled, barely hanging together as they fled towards the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Cyros stood in the dimly lit command center, his face pale, a mask of disbelief and crushed pride. His species, who had once dominated the stars, was now reduced to a broken remnant, cowering from a race they had considered inferior. The holographic screens flickered, showing the last few ships, damaged and uncoordinated, attempting to regroup. But there was no chance of recovery. Earth had struck harder and faster than the Council had ever anticipated. Their primitive weapons, which had once been dismissed as inconsequential, had proven devastating. Cyros clenched his fists, trying to hold back the rising tide of panic that threatened to consume him. He had led them into this mess, and now they were paying the price. Zarak, the battle strategist, paced nervously, muttering to himself, "We were wrong. We misjudged them. We were too confident. We assumed they would break under pressure." Cyros didn't answer. He couldn't. The truth was too bitter to speak aloud. The Council had underestimated Earth, and now, as the remnants of their fleet scattered across the void, they were the ones being hunted. The technician at the console spoke up, his voice shaky. "Sir, we've intercepted another transmission. From Earth, they're demanding an unconditional surrender." Zarak stopped pacing, his eyes flashing with fury. "Surrender? After everything we've done? They actually think we'll just give up?" Cyros turned toward the screen, his gaze fixed on the incoming transmission. Earth's fleet was still in position, hovering just outside their reach, its weapons primed and ready. The humans were in control now, and they knew it. This wasn't about just winning the battle. This was about sending a message the Council had failed to see coming. "We have no choice," Cyros said, his voice heavy with defeat. "If we don't surrender, they'll wipe us out completely. And the galaxy will know what happens when you cross Earth. This is no longer a war. This is our survival." Zarak opened his mouth to protest, but Cyros raised a hand, silencing him. "We're not fighting for victory anymore. We're fighting to preserve what little we have left. This is the end." On Earth, Commander Alara watched the flickering transmission with a calm, almost detached expression. The humans had won, but she could see the strain in the faces of her officers. There was no joy in this victory, only a grim sense of finality. Earth had defended itself, yes, but what came next was just as important. "The fleet has been crippled," Lieutenant Harper said, breaking the silence. "But we can't just let them go. We need to make sure they understand that they can't come back. Not after this." Alara nodded, her expression hardening. "We won't stop. Not now. We'll make sure they understand that Earth is no longer a target. We'll make sure they know what happens when you underestimate humanity." She looked over at the communications officer. "Send the message. Let them know we've won. Let them know this isn't just about survival, it's about showing the galaxy who we are and what we're capable of." The officer nodded, quickly, typing commands into the console. A new transmission was sent, this time with a simple, chilling message. "We've won. Surrender, or face annihilation." Back in the alien command center, Cyros felt a strange sense of resignation. The humans were relentless. They weren't just trying to defend themselves, they were trying to reshape the galaxy. And the Council had been blind to that. "We've lost," Zarak said softly. His voice lacked the venom it once held. "And it's not just about this battle. The humans have proven they can't be controlled. They can't be ignored." Cyros nodded slowly. "We underestimated them. We thought they were weak, that their lack of unity made them vulnerable. But they've shown us what it means to fight for survival. They're not just another species in the galaxy, they're a force. And we'll have to live with the consequences of our arrogance." He turned to face the rest of the officers. "We will surrender. But remember this moment. Remember that the galaxy is no longer the way it was. Earth has changed everything." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of Cyros's words sinking in. They had seen the enemy as insignificant, a mere speck on the galactic map. But now they were forced to confront the brutal truth. Earth was no longer a vulnerable, helpless world. It was a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, the human fleet stood poised, its weapons powered down but ready to strike if necessary. Alara watched the final remnants of the alien fleet disappear into the blackness of space. The battle was over. Earth had won, But as the silence settled over the command center, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The galaxy would not forget what had happened today. Earth had proven that it could defend itself, and it had done so with a power, precision, and strategy that would resonate for generations to come. She turned to her officers. Prepare for the aftermath. We've shown the galaxy what we're capable of. Now we need to ensure we're ready for whatever comes next. We can't afford to be complacent, Harper nodded. The galaxy won't forget this. But the question is, will they respect us? Will they learn from this? Alara's gaze hardened as she stared out at the stars. They'll respect us, and if they don't, we'll make sure they do. The alien ships, now scattered across the void, had received Earth's message. And though they had been forced to retreat, one thing was clear: they had underestimated humanity. And now, the consequences of that mistake would echo throughout the galaxy for years to come. The war was over. But the real battle had just begun. The alien fleet, once a symbol of their superior technological might, now drifted broken and battered through space, leaving behind a trail of destruction. The vast armada that had been poised for the annihilation of Earth was now scattered and shattered, retreating into the black void. The humans had done it. Against all odds, they had fought back and won. In the alien command center, Cyro stood alone, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. The once bright lights of the Empire had dimmed, and now the weight of defeat hung heavy in the air. Their arrogance, their complete dismissal of Earth as a legitimate threat, had led to this moment. They had believed their victory was inevitable, that humanity was just a minor obstacle in their path. He closed his eyes, remembering the arrogance of the council members as they dismissed the humans' primitive technology, their weak defenses, their lack of any meaningful military presence. But now the council was gone. The Empire was on the verge of collapse, and the humans had proven that they were anything but weak. They had outwitted the invaders at every turn, their resilience and unexpected tactics turning the tide of the war in their favor. The communication officer spoke up, breaking the silence. Commander, we've received the final message from Earth. Cyros turned slowly, his expression unreadable. And? They've issued a demand for our full surrender, the officer reported, his voice low. They've told us to leave the galaxy or face complete annihilation. They're not going to show us mercy. Cyros felt a chill run through him. The humans had no reason to spare them. They had invaded Earth, attacked their cities, destroyed their fleets. And now the humans were demanding more than just victory. They were demanding control. He had no doubt that Earth would back up their threats. They had proven themselves capable of destroying their fleet, and they had shown no mercy. The once feared alien empire had been reduced to a fraction of its former strength. We surrender, Cyros said quietly, his voice hollow. It's over. The officer didn't hesitate. Acknowledged, Commander. On Earth, Commander Alara watched the final moments of the alien retreat from her command ship. The once raging battle had turned into a complete rout. The skies, which had been filled with the hum of alien warships, were now silent. The victorious humans floated in the stillness of space, their fleet intact and triumphant. The crew around Alara breathed a collective sigh of relief, but there was no celebration, no cheers. The price of this victory had been high. Earth had been on the verge of destruction, and the loss of so many innocent lives weighed heavily on her. She knew this wasn't just a victory for Earth, it was a message to the galaxy. Humanity was no longer an afterthought. They were a force to be reckoned with. Commander, Lieutenant Harper said, his voice breaking the silence. What now? We've won, but there's still so much to do. Alara turned to face him, her eyes hard and determined. Now we rebuild. But we don't forget. The galaxy will know what happened here today. We've sent a message, and we will continue to send that message. We won't let them forget, will we? Harper asked. No, Alara replied, her voice steady. The galaxy will remember what happened, and we won't allow ourselves to be anyone's prey again. As the Earth fleet continued to float in space, the silence of victory was deafening. They had overcome the impossible. And in doing so, they had shown the universe that Earth was not just a planet to be conquered. It was a force. And the rest of the galaxy would have to learn to respect that. On the retreating alien ships, Cyros watched Earth's final transmission in silence. Their message was clear. The war was over, and Earth had claimed victory. The once unimaginable had become reality. Humanity had turned the tide of the war, decimated the alien fleet, and claimed its place as a force in the galaxy. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't, Cyros whispered to himself. The words felt like a final, bitter truth. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't.